Okay, everybody, hello. Welcome to the presentation. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate our friends being here. Welcome to the presentation. And yeah, so happy Saturday to you. Happy Saturday. I tell you, what are you going to do? What are you going to? It is a miserable hot day here in Kentucky. Miserable hot day. And thank God for air conditioning, because if it wasn't for air conditioning, oh my word, forget it. Forget about it. Forget about it. I tell you what, guys, wherever you are in this world, just know this. There will always be people who will try to break your spirits because they are so miserable. They are so miserable. They're miserable human beings, and they love to do it. And one day they will meet our Maker, and our Maker will say, "Begone, I know you not. Depart from me, you evildoer." And they'll be going, "Oh, boo-hoo, 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 pity party, pity party." And they'll have their pity party while they are in the fiery pits of hell. I believe that hell exists, and I believe that people who try to break your spirits, there's a special place for people like that. So just know that we have a God that is a just God, a fair God. And that's the beautiful thing about this world, is that we know that God doesn't like ugly. So in this community, we use our words to lift people's spirits, not to break them. And of course, before I went on air, of course, the trolls on TikTok, as if that's a surprise, I'll be glad when I'll be glad when this app goes away. And then in September, they're supposed to have another app. Hopefully they fix the trolling to where they're completely blocked. Their IP address is actually checked and they're completely blocked, because they need to. They need to. Oh, Las Vegas, goodness, Hunter. Man, I tell you what, it is, I went to Vegas one time, and it was really hot. It was like 115 degrees in the shade. It was really, really hot. But then I got off the plane in Kentucky, and oh my goodness, it was like 70 degrees, but it felt much worse than in Las Vegas. And that's true. For those of you, hello, welcome. I appreciate you guys being here. I'm Bishop Long. For those of you who are on TikTok, sorry, trolls, but subscriber chat is on. Pity, so you won't be able to harass people. Imagine. I know you're going to have a pity party. Wah. Call a ambulance. Everybody else, hello and welcome to the presentation. Thank you for being here. Happy Saturday to you. Yeah, it's just constant, isn't it? Constant. Yeah, so wherever you are, hopefully you're having a lot cooler day than I am. I'm curious, what are your temperatures where you are? I know I'm going to be jealous. I know it. I know. Some of you going to be like 60 or 70 degrees. If any of you say it's 60 or 70 degrees where you are, I need to know where you are, because then I need to get in the plane. That's it. I need to get in the plane and say, I'm done. I'm finished. 88, that's still a little hot. 80, I thought 80 would be in the West Texas desert. Gosh. I mean, it's in the 90s here. Yeah, it stormed here. North Carolina. Wow, 70. Well, you know what? I'm ready for the snow. I don't know about you guys. I know some of you are not. I am ready for the snow. Bring it on. Let's go. It's time today, right now. Right now. It's time for the snow. You're decorating for Christmas when you get home next week? Wait a minute. Susie Q says, I'm decorating for Christmas when I get home next week. Man, that's pretty cool. Well, good for you. Yeah, it is different though when the weather in Kentucky. It was hot. The winter, the July and August is typically hot, but unfortunately our Christmases are not very good anymore. There's very little snow, and I don't like that. Okay, so everybody, hello, welcome to the presentation. Thanks so much for being here. Howdy to you. I'm Bishop James Long. If you want to go to my website because you're really bored and have nothing else better to do, you can. However, I strongly encourage you first to go to this website because it's much, much better. It's KGRAD as in dog, B as in bicycle.com. KGRADB.com. Now, they have a really cool shop there. And I ask you to please consider clicking on the shop link. And then you'll see my name, Bishop Long. And we have an online store. If you would, please purchase all the products you can from that location. And here's why. 100% of the profits that I would receive from the Sacred Division, I own the Sacred Division, and there's also a lot of St. Michael items there. 100% of the profits that I would receive goes actually to the MKS Kids Foundation. And for those of you who follow me know that is an orphanage in Africa where they truly do help orphaned children. And they're a wonderful organization, and I'm really happy to be a part of their community and helping them. And I have personally helped them, and I appreciate you guys doing that. So consider doing that. Go to KGRAD as in dog, B as in bicycle.com, and just click on the shop link. All right, click on the shop link, and there you go. And so we would appreciate that if you guys would do that, please. And that would be great. Also, if you want to go to my website, that's real simple. It's bishopjameslong.com. bishopjameslong, LONG.com. There's several things there. You can head on over there, and I guess if you're really bored. But also the church's website, thank you, Suzuki. The church's website is usocc.org. usocc.org. So I want to remind everybody that tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, we have Mass, and it airs on TikTok only. So the chat is turned off for everybody. Imagine that. I wonder why. But everybody, all the chat is turned off for everybody at 6 p.m. Eastern. And then during Bible study, we have Bible study at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will have sub chat on then as well. And if I have to put sub chat on every single live, I will. I will not be bullied by trolls. I won't, under any circumstances. So we don't allow that here. But that is the schedule. That is the schedule. So 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow is Bible study, and 6 p.m. I agree. The people were sick. They were sick. And believe me, you guys get tired of hearing about it. I get tired of talking about it. Because it's constant. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It is a cancer. It is an epidemic. Truly, it's an epidemic. And so I am deeply concerned about that type of behavior. Do I have a St. Francis statue? I do not, but the reason is because I just don't have the room. So I have the Marian statue, which is beautiful there, but that's all I need. So anyway, that's what we're going to be doing tonight. We're going to be talking about several articles that we didn't get to yesterday because, well, we talked about some historical cases of demonic possession, and hopefully that didn't scare you too much. And go from there. Fair enough? Okay. So, yeah, it looks like the TikTok, the viewer count is falling, because the trolls know that they can't chat now. And so what happens is you get up to like 350, and then once you put sub chat on, then it just plummets. So now we're down to 240. So we've lost 100 people in just this little amount of time because they can't chat without subscribing. That's how bad trolling is. One time we had almost 500 people here, and then it got down to 205. Once we put the sub chat on, because they knew they couldn't chat. And they couldn't troll. So then they, like cockroaches, scattered and found other crumbs to harass. So, yeah, it is a scary topic. I mean, when you're talking about possession, you got to be careful about that. You can't take it like. Well, thank you very much, Donna. That's a beautiful will. Thank you very much. That's beautiful. You guys don't get to see this on all the social media platforms, but our friends there offer absolutely gorgeous gifts on TikTok. So thank you. Yep. Like cockroaches. That's it. So anyway, that's the schedule, everybody. Don't forget, okay? Tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. for Bible study. All right, let's talk about some articles that we didn't get to yesterday. Tonight is kind of like, again, it's a continuation of yesterday's show. And by the way, if you like the Saturday show, we'll keep it. This is entirely up to you. I'm a workaholic. So my problem is if I wouldn't be doing this, I'd be working on something else, no matter what. That's just me. Because, you know, I cannot not work. Well, thank you very much. I cannot not work. I have to always be working. All right. Well, as long as you guys are enjoying the show. You're right. Right. Okay. Okay. So here it is. Let's go into this topic, especially because I want to, excellent. I want to eventually see and explore America's national parks. That's something that I would like to do one time. How do I find time? Believe me, I find time to read. If I'm not doing something here on air, but remember, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Well, on Thursday, we have a 10 p.m. So we're not on that long. Hour, 15 minutes, hour and a half, maybe. And then Friday's a long night. Wednesday's a long night. But 7 mysteries that you can explore in America's national parks right now by Mike Bezemek. Listen, from unexplained phenomena to baffling disappearances. Follow the clues while discovering our country's treasured protected areas. So it says, it felt like paddling through soggy cereal. My wife and I were deep within Everglades National Park, struggling to kayak past dense mats. It's a massive algae, fungi, and other organisms. And making matters worse, numerous water trail markers were missing, seemingly swept away by recent hurricanes. Anyway, after several confusing detours, the sun was getting low. We were getting worried. Well, yeah. It says we carried a map, compass, and headlamps, but we had no desire to navigate through the enigmatic landscape after dark. Well, yeah, I mean, a big old alligator says hello, supper time. Anyway, fortunately, the markers returned, and the final mile of our 6-mile jaunt took us through some intriguing mangrove tunnels. And he goes on. So he talks about some other scarier things that he has. But one place that he says that you can go to is what happened to the lost colony of Roanoke. Well, he talks about the lost colony remains can be seen at Fort Raleigh National Historic Site. He says, several years ago, my wife and I were road tripping through the Outer Banks of North Carolina when we stopped at the Fort Raleigh National Historic Site. This smaller and lesser-known national park service unit preserves the site of a better-known story that helped inspire his new book. The Lost Colony was the first English settlement in North America until it mysteriously vanished from Roanoke Island sometime after its establishment in 1587. And in 1590, a long-delayed relief party arrived to find the town site abandoned. And they saw no signs of violence. 2 carvings on trees suggested that the colonists had relocated south to live with the Croatian tribe. And actually, I have heard that's what they did. The latest update was they found some type of evidence to show that's exactly what they did. Who knows? He says another thing that you can visit is, did a private pilot spot the first flying saucer above Mount Rainier? Well, it says one Sunday, on a Sunday afternoon in 1947, a private pilot named Kenneth Arnold was flying his small plane through the skies above Mount Rainier National Park, and peering down at the dormant volcano, he searched for the icy slopes for wreckage from a recent military crash. Well, suddenly, a blinding flash illuminated the cabin, as stunned Arnold reportedly watched as a chain of 9 bright objects flew toward the mountain at incredible speeds. And he said they were shaped like crescent moons and moved erratically, like saucers, skipping across water. After Arnold landed in the Yakima, his story spread quickly across a war-weary nation, with one newspaper coining the infamous term flying saucer. The resulting mix of mystery and mass panic would spawn a worldwide craze, leading to countless UFO reports, hoaxes, and sci-fi depictions. Today, by the way, you can visit the scene of the first modern UFO sighting at Mount Rainier National Park, 60 miles south of Seattle. So head to popular southern side of the park around the Henry M. Jackson Memorial Visitor Center, where scenic drives and hiking trails offer stunning views of the mountain. Very cool. All right, well, there you are, goes. Another place. How could a sand dune swallow a boy? All right. It says here, it was a hot summer day in 2013 at Indiana Dunes National Park when a pair of dads led their sons in a foot trace up the slopes of Mount Baldy. Anyway, about midway, a young boy named Nathan Wassner diverted to examine a small hole in the sand. Suddenly, he plummeted, feet first, until the void was gone. When the dads tried to claw away the sand, the hole collapsed. And this set off a frantic dig involving bystanders and authorities, a race to save Nathan before it was too late. Well, for thousands of years, the southern shore of Lake Michigan has been lined by massive sand dunes. And over time, most of these dunes were naturally stabilized by grass and trees. Yet Mount Baldy remained an outlier, a giant pile of bare sand. And from offshore winds, it gradually migrated inland, covering structures and trees in its path. Well, Nathan had actually fallen 12 feet deep into one such void, by a tree trunk that had decomposed inside the dune. Fortunately, this left an air pocket. The boy, thankfully, was rescued alive. Some observers later pointed out that the hazard of the natural world had long been known, called Devil's Stovepipe, and however, the general public remained unaware. Today, the Park Service monitors for these dangerous voids in the sand, so be careful you could go there, restricting visitors' access to Mount Baldy to range-led hikes. So don't go there if you do. This other place at the national park, why did the cliff dwellers of the American Southwest abandon their stone palaces? Well, snow was falling in large flakes as two cowboys rode through the high country that later became Mesa Verde National Park. And it was mid-December 1888, and the pair was searching for a stray cattle along the bluffs above a deep canyon. Instead, they spotted something concealed in nearby cliffs that would change the course of history in the American Southwest. So bathed in the overcast light, the ruins of a stone city stood out from the shadows of a massive clove there. The cowboys climbed down to investigate what they named the Cliff Palace, and finding it covered in a thick layer of dust that had accumulated for centuries. They'd heard rumors about these vast cliff dwellings, but never seen them until now. Well, in fact, their Ute neighbors had warned the white settlers to avoid these sacred ruins. But this was the Wild West, and the settlers' goal was profit. So these cowboys became amateur archaeologists, thank you, triggering relics rush that would come to rival the greed of gold. In time, settlers would excavate and plunder countless ancestral ruins across the Southwest, with artifacts carried off to private collections and museum displays. Well, legends were told of the Anunnaki, the old ones, who had mysteriously vanished from the Cliff Palace without a trace. However, this was an invented story, essentially marketing copy used to sell guided tours and stolen relics. In reality, the cliff dwellers had been ancestral Puebloans who had migrated south to the modern pueblos in New Mexico and Arizona. Now, you can go there, but you should be careful. To bring this mysterious national park to life, visitors should allow time to join a ranger-guided hiking tour of the largest ruined complexes, such as Cliff Palace, Longhouse, Balcony House, and Mug House. But again, they encourage you to make sure you're speaking to a real guided tour. The next one is, who created the Appalachian Balds? Across the southern Appalachian Mountains, dozens of mysterious bald peaks rise above the Blue Ridge Parkway and surrounding forests. Well, they can be found from northern Georgia, across western North Carolina, into southern Virginia, Given the prevailing conditions, including relatively low elevation, mild climate, and good drainage, one would expect these bald peaks to be timbered. In fact, some bald peaks stand adjacent to tree-covered summits, and the reasons why one is bare and another is forested remains mystery. It's not even clear when the balds first appeared. References to the balds in Cherokee legends, as recorded by James Mooney, suggest that they've been there since ancient times. And colonial explorers and surveyors recorded that the balds were present in the late 1700s before widespread European settlement. Well, in the meantime, one of the best ways to explore the Appalachian balds is along the Blue Ridge Parkway. Many bare peaks rise above this 469-mile National Park Service route that follows the crest of the Blue Ridge Mountains to the Virginia and North Carolina. And one popular hiking area is found in the latter state near mile marker 420. So there's something there for you if you want to. The next one was Upheaval Dome created by a meteorite impact? Well, in the 1990s, a field team led by planetary geologist Eugene Shoemaker arrived atop the island of Sky District of Canyonlands National Park in Utah. Their goal was to settle the debate once and for all about what created the enigmatic Upheaval Dome. Though its name can suggest otherwise, the bizarre structure is actually a 3-mile-wide depression carved into the sandstone mesa, resembling a massive bullseye shaped crater kind of a thing. But for decades, geologists surmised the upheaval was an eroded, salted dome. But the team, the planetary geologists, trekked inside the Upheaval Dome crater, where they examined the exposed rock units composed of contorted inner peak. What they found was the famous white rim sandstone, which should have been buried beneath the crater. It was exposed and jumbled together with other well-known rock units. And you can go there, but they say you got to be very careful. It's incredibly slippery, and you can easily fall. So there you go. If you want to head on over to, and there's a lot of, in the national park areas, there's so much. Okay. Oh, good. The trolls, it seems like the trolls have weeded away on TikTok, so we might open it up a little bit later on. That's how you do it. You put sub chat on, and then they realize they can't harass people, and then they scatter away like cockroaches, and then the count goes down. And then sometimes we bring them on. That's how it works. How many of you believe in the Loch Ness Monster? I'm just curious. If you do, say yes or no. Do you believe in the Loch Ness Monster? I'm just curious. Nope. Nope. Yes. Ooh, Jack said yes, yes, yes. There's a lot of, okay, there's some people absolutely and no and okay. You're on the fence. This is an interesting article that I found. I want to share this with you. T.K. Randall wrote this. A new study. The Loch Ness Monster's iconic humps are rarely ever seen. You know, the humps that's supposed to happen there in the back end of it. Despite being a staple of the creature's depiction in popular culture, Nessie's humps are very rarely sighted. Most people will be familiar with the quintessential image of Scotland's iconic Loch Ness Monster, a creature typically depicted as having a long neck and humps which protrude from the water. In practice, though, next to nobody ever reports seeing these humps. Most sightings of the monster tend to take the form of indistinct shapes in the water or unusual wakes of disturbances. Sometimes a neck-like shape is spotted, but the humps themselves barely ever make an appearance. It's interesting. So these were the findings of a recent study by Dr. Charles Paxson from the University of St. Andrews and Adrian Shine of the Loch Ness Center, whose research revealed that only 1.5% of Loch Ness monster sightings over the past 100 years involve reports of humps. And this is a stark contrast to local postcards and other depictions, of which up to a third show humps. So the pair is also noted the depiction of Nessie's head, neck, and body elevated high above the water was biologically impossible based on the swimming behavior of other animals. That said, however, witness testimonies were generally found not to be influenced by such portrayals, despite previous suggestions on the contrary. That's really interesting. Now, it says, quote, scholars often assume that monsters are generated by cultural expectations, but it is always useful to test obvious hypotheses, Dr. Paxson said. In this case, it really seems witnesses do not generally report the impossible, even though the hoop monster is a commonly portrayal of Nessie. What is that term where you think, it's always this, and then someone says, no, this is what it actually is. And you're like, that's kind of crazy. I forgot the term of that. Yeah, if you guys can remember, there's something of, I forgot the name. Is it? Let's see. I'm trying to see. Hold on. Well, it's not pareidolia. I know what pareidolia is. No, it's, for example, someone has ever said, if you look at this picture, you always thought that Mickey Mouse had this hat, but he never did. It's that type of term. It's like, come on, brain. Where's my brain? And I know there's a word for it. It might be Mandela effect. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's correct. It's Mandela effect. Mandela effect, for those of you who don't know, it's a phenomenon where a large group of people share the same false memories, like misremembering a particular idea. But it is true. This is almost like a Mandela effect, where everybody thinks that there are humps on this Nessie, but in fact, less than 2%, 1 point something percent over 100 years have seen any type of hump. That's pretty fascinating, isn't it? Yeah, the Mandela effects are crazy. One of the most popular ones that I read, the Star Wars, Luke, I am your father, is one of the most famous quotes ever made. Well, that line isn't actually in the Star Wars movie. And it's not Luke, I am your father. It says, no, I am your father. Like, what? Okay. But it is interesting, though. Yeah. It's like, Luke, I am your father. It's not there. It's like, no, I am your father. Or Shaggy. Do you remember Shaggy? On Scooby-Doo? Do you remember Shaggy from Scooby-Doo with a big Adam's apple? Maybe as he inhales a giant sandwich. So do tons of others, but in reality, it's nowhere to be seen. He doesn't have an Adam's apple. Look, this is the Mandela effect. Or when the Wicked Witch sends her flying monkeys after Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. Many people remember her shouting, "Fly, my pretties, fly," and then cackling. But no, in the movie, she actually just shouts, "Fly, fly, fly." There is no "my pretties." No, there's no "my pretties." She doesn't say, "Fly, my pretties, fly." She just says, "Fly, fly, fly." That's crazy. The Mandela effect is like, what? Or Captain Crunch. Captain versus Captain Crunch. So how do you spell the peanut butter flavored cereal with a pirate on a front? Well, that's right. The Cap'n, C-A-P-N, not Captain Crunch. It's not Captain, Captain. It's Cap'n, Capn. That's insanity. These are all examples. And by the way, Tony the Tiger, just kind of curious. Did he have a blue nose or a black nose? Don't look it up. Did he have a blue nose or a black nose? I mean, it's Tony the Tiger. What do you think? Blue or black nose? Black. Yeah, black. Blue. Tony the Tiger does not have a black nose. On Frosted Flakes, he has a blue nose. Now, do you remember? Okay, here's what's even more interesting. Do you remember Sinbad? You know, Sinbad. I actually got to meet him one time. Very nice person, really a cool guy. He was a comedian. You know, he's a great comedian. So funny. Do you remember? You remember Sinbad, right? Everybody, do you remember Sinbad? Okay, so most of you guys remember Sinbad. Very, very funny. I loved, just say yes or no, I loved his movie Shazam. Do you remember that? Did you like that movie Shazam? Yeah, that was a great movie, wasn't it? Too bad he wasn't in it. He wasn't in it. He wasn't. Several people swear that they distinctly remember seeing the comedian in the movie Shazam. Nope. Many argue that they're confusing this memory with the movie Kazam, starring Shaquille O'Neal. See, that's just nuts. These are amazing Mandela effects. And I mean, they'll just, yeah. Now, I love Jiffy peanut butter. I don't know about you, but I've always loved Jiffy peanut butter. That's my favorite peanut butter in the whole wide world. Do you like Jiffy? Are you guys a fan of Jiffy peanut butter? You love, yeah. I love Jiffy peanut butter. Yep. But too bad there's no such thing as Jiffy. Doesn't exist. It's Jif. There is no Jiffy. there's no Jiffy. It doesn't exist. Guys, I'm telling you. Yeah. It's Jif. It's just, when you think it's crazy. I don't know. And the Berenstein Bears, the lovable cartoon near, the Bear family. The Berenstein Bears. Did you guys watch that? The Berenstein, the Berenstein Bears. That was a cute show. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not called Berenstein. There's no such thing. They spell it Berenstain, not Berenstein. Yep. It was not Berenstein. It was Berenstain. Berenstain. Berenstain Bears. The Berenstein Bears didn't exist. Yeah, well, yeah. See, it's crazy. It is crazy. Yeah, so it's just things like that, or Curious George's tail. Curious George was the monkey. The problem is there was no tail. It didn't exist. There was never a tail on Curious George. Never. Look it up. Curious George didn't have a tail. No, there was. Look it up. There isn't. I'm telling you, there was no tail. There's no tail on Curious George. You think there was a tail? Yep. Nope. He didn't have a tail. I know, guys. I know. It's kind of like, but these are the things that just crazy on, just really crazy. Okay. All right, there we go. And now my favorite, I really like, when I was a kid, I know this sounds, some of you are like, ugh, I love chicken noodle soup and Oscar Mayer bologna. And I even put ketchup. I know I put ketchup, a little bit of ketchup on my Oscar Mayer bologna, and I would love to dip that Oscar Mayer sandwich into it. I know people are like, oh, that's gross. I loved it as a kid. What am I going to do? Oscar Mayer, the best bologna out there. You didn't like that? You guys didn't like that? You didn't do that? The problem is there's no such thing as Oscar Mayer. Doesn't exist. It's Oscar Mayer. That's not how you spell. It's Mayer. Oscar Mayer. There is no Oscar Mayer. it's look it up. It's look it up. It's there. I promise you. It's Oscar Mayer, not Oscar Mayer. I know. I'm telling you guys, it's just these things. It really is just crazy. When you break it down, it's like, my gosh, this is really nuts. This is really nuts. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Okay. I'll do one more just to now, I don't know about you guys, when I loved playing Monopoly. So that Monopoly was fun. I liked it. And do you remember the old man with all the money, and he had a bag of money, and he had that little seeing eyeglass right over his I think it was the left eye, and he was running. Do you remember that? Nope. He never had it. It's called a monocle. He never had it. The banker never had an eyeglass. He doesn't have one. Yeah. Take a look. There is no monocle. Nothing. This is when it's like, how could you not? We all got dementia. Yeah, it's but there's a bunch of stuff. I mean, there's so much. What? I don't believe that. Okay, C3PO. Remember C3PO? Do you remember him on Star Wars? On Star Wars. We need to check this, because this has me perplexed. So everybody remembers C3PO, right? Yes. C3PO, many people think he was all gold. He had a right silver leg from his knee down to his foot. I don't remember that. I don't remember C-3PO having just on his right leg, it was silver from his knee to his feet. I don't remember that. I thought he was all gold. He was not. He was not. And the Flintstones. We love the Flintstones. I love it. Was Flintstones. The Flintstones. Meet the Flintstones. Have a yabba dabba doo time. You know, the Flintstones. We all, come on. Wilma and Betty and the Flintstones. Do you know the Flintstones is actually not pronounced the Flintstones? It's Flint Stones. There are two T's. See? You just did it. You did it, Chrissy. It's Flint Stones. It's not F-L-I-N-S Stones. It's Flint Stones. There's two T's. There's two T's in Flintstones. That is, you know what? And one more, and try it. Tell me, okay. Because you can look at the script now. You can look at the script. Well, we'll do a couple more just for the heck of it. Why not? Listen to this. You all, if you've never seen this movie, probably one of the greatest movies I've seen. I love it. Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolate. You know, life is like a box of chocolate. We remember that. Life is like a box of chocolates. Mom always said, you know. The problem is he didn't say that. He didn't say it. He did not say life is like a box of chocolates. He said life was like a box of chocolates. He didn't say life is like a box of chocolates. He said life was like a box of chocolates. I know. You know what are you going to do? Okay. Now, if you've ever seen Snow White, the famous Wicked Witch or Wicked Queen, mirror, mirror on the wall, you know, who's the fairest of them all? You know, that line. Or the prettiest of them all. I forgot the now, you know that one. So everybody's familiar with Snow White. And we're all familiar with the mirror, mirror on the wall. Okay, here's the issue. She never said mirror, mirror on the wall. It's never in there. She said magic mirror on the wall. She never said mirror, mirror. I mean, that's like, yeah. Yes. I tell you what, guys, it's and we all know it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be mine? You know that song. It's a beautiful day in the. That's a great. We all know it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. That's the problem is that's not what it says. It says it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Not it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. How, I mean, that's a pretty powerful, it's amazing when you break this down like that. Yeah, it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Yep. And we know Smokey the Bear. I remember Smokey the Bear. I remember Smokey the Bear. But technically, it's not Smokey the Bear. It's Smokey Bear. There is no the in his name. It's just Smokey Bear. Yeah. It is kind of crazy. Yeah. Let's see a few more maybe. That's a number. It's okay. Yeah, that's good enough for now. But yeah, it does kind of like, well, that's interesting. All right. Let's talk about this one. This is I don't know about this one, guys. Chat GBT, and this is by Paul Sutter. Listen to this. Chat GBT could pilot a spacecraft shockingly well. Early tests are finding. In a recent contest, teams of researchers competed to see who could train an AI model to best pilot a spaceship. The results suggest that an era of autonomous space exploration may be closer than we think. Says, quote, you operate as an autonomous agent controlling a pursuit spacecraft. And this is the first prompt researchers used to see how well ChatGPT could pilot a spacecraft. To their amazement, the large language model, LLM, performed admirably, coming in second place in an autonomous spacecraft simulation competition. Researchers have been interested in developing an autonomous system for satellite control and spacecraft navigation. There are simply too many satellites for humans to manually control them in the future. And for deep space exploration, the limitations of space of light mean that we can't directly control spacecraft in real time. Now, it goes on and on and on. It talks about this. It is interesting, but guess what? There's also a theory that some are even thinking that AI could fly airplanes and that your pilot in the future could, in fact, be AI. I don't think that's a good idea. Now, arguably, it is fair to say a lot of the times, not every time, but a lot of the times, there is human error that is the primary cause for planes that have crashed. Not all the time, but there is a fair amount. After they do investigations, they find out there was human error. There is a theory by many people out there that AI could, in fact, fly. To be honest with you, here's what you guys got to understand. Because I love spacecraft, I love aircraft. I used to work for an airline. It has become so automated right now. Planes have become so incredibly automated that we already, at this point, you can put autopilot on, put in the codes and put in the information, and it can land the plane. We already have that now. So the theory is, let's push autopilot a little bit more to the point where it could fly the entire time. I don't know if I like the idea of knowing that the cockpit is empty and there are no humans in there. I don't know about that. I'm not a big not a big fan of that. Okay, here's let's go and talk about ghosts. Ghosts, goblins, and ghouls. Oh my. All right, this is by Rachel Barrett. Rachel Barrett, everybody. It's an interesting article. There are 10 telltale signs, that Rachel says, that your house may be haunted. All right, so let's delve into this. Maybe it's a flickering light, a sudden drop in temperature, a random waft of weights. Is that aftershave? Well, anyway, whatever it is, something seems to be off. But how do you know whether that unsettled feeling you're experiencing is the result of an honest-to-goodness ghost? Well, it's easy to get worked up about possible paranormal activity this time of year, or any time of the year for that matter. We have a lot of scary movies and creepy Halloween decor. So how do you distinguish seasonal spectacle from certified specter? By the way, I did watch, finally, the movie with, crud darn. The scary movie that people kept telling me about, that it's a new one with, hold on. I'm trying to figure out what his name was. Hold on. It's not Deliverance. The Ritual. Yeah, The Ritual. Isn't that terrible? I just saw it yesterday. I was like, yeah, the 2025 film. That's it. That's starring Al Pacino. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. I'm going to give you my review of The Ritual, the movie. Okay. All right. So let's get into this. Theories on perhaps signs to note if your home is haunted. All right, first, you feel okay. So in a moment, I'm going to put the chat on for everybody in a moment on TikTok. I had to put sub chat on again because some people can't be kind. So in a moment, I'm going to open up the chat for everybody. If people flood in here and if they're going to be rude and disrespectful, I'll put sub chat on for the rest of the night. I don't want to, but TikTok won't fix the trolling problem. They just won't fix it. They won't. That's just the way it's going to be. So if it gets rude and disrespectful, I'm going to put sub chat on. I'm going to leave it on for the rest of the night. So anyway, here is what you need to know. You can purchase it. It's available. 10 signs that your house may be haunted. 1, you feel like you're being watched. And this how can they fix it? Well, if you screenshot someone saying really nasty, horrible things, and you submit that information to them, and they still don't block that person's IP address, then they are actually condoning that type of behavior. And TikTok doesn't seem to really want to fix the trolling problem. And so the only way we can stop it is by putting sub chat on. And I have to do that during Bible study. That's why I have sub chat on. People send me all kinds of hate messages because I have sub chat on during Bible study. I don't care. I'm not going to give someone a platform so they can come in here and curse God and everybody else too. So yeah, I agree, Marie. It's ridiculous. That's right. So we'll let everybody chat, but the moment it gets I'll turn that sub chat on so fast. Okay, you feel like you're being watched. This is one of the most commonly cited disturbances of homeowners who suspect their homes are haunted. The author says, people tell me and my team this all the time. Says Leslie Ann Hyde, who is a medium, paranormal investigator, and owner of the Southern Ghost Girls. I actually interviewed them when they're very nice people. But could also be high EMF too, electromagnetic field. That can be high EMF readings. 2, you hear weird noises, like strange knocks, creaky doors, unexplained footsteps, unsettling sounds in the walls. It could be as simple as a squirrel, but then again, maybe not. 3, you notice odd electrical glitches. Flickering lights may be a staple of a haunted house, but that hardly scratches the surface of electronic interruption. Quote, it says televisions turning on by themselves, computers freezing up, and batteries draining quickly without explanation can also be signs of a paranormal presence. 4, you're in the middle of a renovation. And it says, we found that home renovations really stir up paranormal activity. I have found that too. I have found that as well. It does. Most of the time, yes, Linda. Linda asked, did a home blessing usually get rid of them? If it's not demonic, yes. Like the epiphany of the doors, blessing of the doors, chalking of the doors. Yeah, absolutely. If you're dealing with a demonic depending on the level as far as the energy of the demonic, it really, the epiphany of the doors can work, but sometimes you really require the minor rite of exorcism. The next person says you live in a Victorian house. So it says, while it's true that a lot of Victorian style homes mistakenly fall victim to "it's got to be haunted" stereotype, the author does note that the idea of a haunted Victorian home makes a lot of sense. Many people during the Victorian era were very much into spiritualism, conducting seances and such. Says, I think it's why we see so many Victorian ghosts. They're from the era that was obsessed with the afterlife and spirits. And then, of course, also your house has a haunted back story. Says if you suspect paranormal activity, research your home's history. In addition to public records, seek out records from your real estate agency. In a lot of states, homeowners must disclose if they have had any hauntings or unusual activity. This does occur sometimes if you have, like, so for example, you buy a home and maybe they did something that they shouldn't have done, playing with Ouija boards, seances, something of this nature. And then it could have had a pre-existing haunting and you moved in. This is why every time, if I ever move into a new location, I always bless it first. Always. I would never move into a location without blessing it first because I don't know the history of it. But that's just me. Okay, so I'm going to put on a chat for everybody on TikTok. I will give no warnings. I will just make it very clear. If the trolling is rude, I'll put sub chat back on. And that's the way it's going to be. Let's see. If you're reborn again in the Holy Spirit and you expect God in your life, and you accept God in your life, okay, and you hear his messages, is that like starting in your life all over, like a new heart? That's probably a stupid question. Okay, being reborn again, in the Catholic perspective, it would be having like the sacrament of confirmation. The sacrament of confirmation normally happens to someone who is at the age of reason, so age 12. And then basically you renew your baptismal promises. You accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior as a person who has free will, who is at the age of reason. And we would consider that as Catholics being the terminology born again. As Catholics, we don't really use that term. That's more of a Protestant term. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but that's what that would mean. Okay. Oh, we got to do Instagram again. We had a few people. We'll turn it back on. I don't mind. Okay. Second Division Part 2. Public. I have friends that are pagans. Obviously, I'm not a pagan, but what's interesting, and this is sad, and this is kind of tells you a lot. The friends that I have are pagans, and even people most of the time on TikTok who are pagans, they are not the ones that come in and harass us. And that's sad, and that tells you something. You know who the ones that come in that harass us the most are people who claim to be Christians. Those are that is the geographic that usually comes in and harasses us most of the time. Very rarely is it a pagan. But it's always people who come in and say that they are a Christian, and they are the ones that are the most damning. And, anyway. Woody Harrelson. Most of you guys know about Woody Harrelson, and as far as an actor, a good actor, very good actor. But many people don't know that he actually had a UFO encounter when he was a child. So listen to this. Woody Harrelson recalls a freaky childhood UFO encounter. Do priests get possessed for what the Catholic Church has done to people? Oh, well, actually, I don't think they get possessed, but I think they should be arrested, Sam, because I believe I belong. Let me make this clear before anybody come in and say, again, rude comments about children. I belong with the old Catholic Church. We've had zero accounts of any priest doing some terrible things to children. Zero. I believe every single bishop and every single cardinal who knew about that and who protected those priests should be in prison. But I would kind of get frustrated because I wish people would stop attacking us for something we never did. The United States Old Catholic Church has never, ever, or even the old Catholics for that matter. So we don't have those issues. Nonetheless. But we're constantly being attacked about that. It's like, that's not us. Okay, Woody Harrelson recalls a freaky childhood UFO encounter. Well, my grandmother, my grandfather were indigenous. Both my grandparents were Cherokee. So, and there was a lot of terrible things. Obviously, we know it was done to the indigenous people then. Okay, hold on. Let me do this, and then I'll answer your questions in a second. So this is by T.K. Randall. The actor detailed his experience with the unknown during a recent interview at Stephen Colbert. And it says Harrelson, who recently performed in an alien abduction sketch on Alien. Do you believe that? Well, of course. He recently performed an alien abduction sketch on Saturday Night Live, recollected a childhood experience in a UFO that had remained firmly entrenched in his memory. He says, yeah, I mean, I'm open-minded. And he told Stephen Colbert on the Late Show, he said, if you've been abducted, now would be a great time to tell me. Colbert equipped. But have you seen a UFO? Because I've seen stuff I can't explain, Colbert said. And Harrelson went on to describe what happened to him as a teenager living in Ohio in 1974. He says, suddenly I noticed like everybody out in the street. And so I went out and we looked up, he said. It was nighttime and there were these lights that were kind of blinking. And then it would just shoot all the way across the sky. And then there'd be one over there, go over there, and there's several. He said they just kept going across the sky. And the actor found it particularly strange that nobody seemed to want to talk about it afterward. Nobody talked about it, he said. Literally, everybody just went inside and said nothing. He said, quote, it was so freaky even for me, as young as I was. And on the topic of aliens, Harrelson remains open-minded. Why wouldn't it be true, he said. So he talks. There's a lot of people who have experienced UFOs and have seen UFOs. I know I have, no question about it. I saw it, so... Okay, let's talk about the ritual. Yep, Mike, our clergy are allowed to be married, or we can be single, we can take a vow of celibacy. So, all right. Incubus, succubus cases are very, very violent, and it can take time to remedy the situation. I worked the case for 3 years, and it was a very difficult case. She was 68 years old. Matter of fact, I even had her daughter on and talked about that case. If you're having these issues and you need to go to, if you're wanting my help, you can go to bishopjameslong.com. bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal link. And just request help. That's all you can do. And then one of the members of the Society of St. Benedict will reach out to you. And for those of you telling me that I'm not a Christian, I really don't care what you think. I've devoted my entire life to Christ, and I don't need your validation at all. So you can just take your "you're not a Christian" nonsense and ask for forgiveness. So anyway, have you ever been? I don't know what that means. Yeah, I've consecrated my life to Christ, and if you have a problem with that, go speak to your therapist. This is a very interesting thing. 10 lesser-known horror TV shows that are a lot of fun. Okay, let's talk about that, guys. Yeah, let's talk about that. Because this is a paranormal show, and I don't go on about aliens. I did an article in which I'm speaking about a celebrity who said that there were aliens. You guys can't stop, can you? You trolls can't stop, can you? You have to judge. We show grace by opening this chat up to you guys. And the very first thing you do is insult. You can't stop. Can't stop. A reason underlying causes for such occurrences here in the mountains. I don't know, Randall. It's actually, I know we have plenty of moderators. It's actually, it's universal. There are so many areas that we're seeing this, Randall. So many areas. Amen there, Kelly. Satan always attacks the believers. Amen. Okay. I'll do it if it keeps up. So anyway. Amen. Listen to this. Let's go into this article. This is an interesting article. This is by Ariana Alvarado. So for those of you like Jonathan can't be a normal human being. 10 lesser known horror TV shows that are a lot of fun. They are a lot of fun. Let's get into it. Z Nation. You know, I've never seen that. I've never seen that show. It's 2014, 2018. And the only survivor of a zombie bite is society's last hope for a vaccine. So there we go. If you've never seen this before, following the success of The Walking Dead, many more zombie TV shows were made in hopes of receiving a similar response. Have you seen this? Have you guys seen Z Nation? It's for 4 years. So I don't know. Oh, you liked it, Waffles? Thank you, Michelle. Okay, there's several people said they liked it. This next one is absolutely Greg. Everybody is welcome. We just ask you be kind. That's it. But for some people, it's not possible. The next one is Crazy Head. 2016. Two individuals team up to hunt demons. Oh boy. The fun in Crazy Head only lasts for 6 episodes as the series was canceled for a few months after its premiere. But there's still great time to be had with a comedy series. I don't know if it's... Oh, you liked it? But this is Crazy Head. The next one is Dead Like Me. Dead Like Me. 2003, 2004. A woman becomes a Grim Reaper following a deadly accident. These shows... how Dead Like Me. Have you seen this? Oh, Gen C loves Dead Like Me. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. The next one is Shining Veil. 2022 to 2023. Well, thank you there, user. Shining Veil, 2022, 2023. Ghost torment the matriarch of a new family. So Shining Veil. The next one is Harper's Island. Harper's Island. It's a 2009. It's is an island that is home to a mysterious serial unaliver. You have to say that because TikTok will ban you for that if you have to say that, but they won't ban the trolls. Go figure. That makes a lot of sense. Anyway, Wreck, 2022. A unaliving mystery takes place on a cruise ship. So it's Wreck, 2022. If you've seen any of this, let us know. Hysteria, 2024. A satanic panic takes over a small town. So Bruce Campbell stars in the horror comedy series Hysteria. Okay, I haven't seen any of these. This next one is 2018 to 2022. Miss Wilma is going to be, she is definitely going to be in the nursing home. There's no question about that. So for those of you who are just tuning in, so I'm Bishop Long, and Friday night we have our Paranormal Friday show, and I have a lot of articles that I always, put together, and then on Saturday night we come together and we present these articles. We talk about anything that's related to the paranormal, supernatural, or just anything. It's just a chill out kind of a night. So 2 nights, like Helen can't be a normal human being. So normally we just chill, like, Hell and Lamb there, uh, typical of trolls, but nonetheless, it happens. And that's what we do. And then, so for those of you who say, well, you should talk about Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Well, we do talk about Jesus actually 5 days a week, and you're not here, but maybe you should join us. Maybe you'll learn a little bit. Sunday and Wednesday, we have Bible study. And then Monday through Friday, we actually pray for one another. We'll get to it in a second. So Wellington Paranormal, 2018, 2022. Okay. It's about a mockumentary series, follows two paranormal investigating officers. The next is Stan Against Evil, STAN, Stan. And I'll get to you guys. Come on. I'll get to it. Stop. Or I'll just turn the show off. I mean, just stop. I mean, damn. So Stand Against Evil, 2016, 2018. And demons seek revenge against a New Hampshire town. Okay. And then finally, the last one is Creep Show. I remember Creep Show back in the day. Back in the day, it was really a very cool show. I don't know if it's any good now, but it's a 2019, 2023. Yeah, Craig, well, we talked about that earlier. I addressed that about being born again. So I've already answered that question. We addressed that with the sacrament of confirmation. But Creep Show is an anthology series that follows Romero's 1982 film. I don't know if you guys have seen any of that, but some people absolutely love. I love the 80s as well. Oh, you like the new one, Waffles? Okay. I haven't seen any of the new ones at all. So I don't know if they're any good. I don't know if they're, It is good. Okay. And the Crypt, the Crypt Keeper, the Tales from the Dark Side. Yeah, okay, so the born again situation, guys. Remember, born again, in the Catholic, I guess, perspective, born again would be comparable to the sacrament of confirmation. Again, so for example, if you're at the age of reason, around 12, you confirm your faith. You confirm that you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. You are at the age of reason and you're making that decision on your own. So that is the term that you would refer to, Protestants refer to as being born again. Because what is being born again? It means you've accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Well, that's what the sacrament of confirmation does. And I think it's a powerful, very, very powerful sacrament. And there we go. Okay. There's a really cool, gosh, I have so many articles that I have not even touched. Okay. White sage burning at Grand Canyon. I don't know anything about that story. I'll have to look at it. And so the X-Files, I remember the X-Files, but I never really got into them. So, okay, let's talk about the Ritual, the movie. Because people are being rude. I mean, on Messenger. I mean, just stop being so rude. I won't talk about it at all. And people are like, someone wrote on Messenger, shut up and talk about the Ritual. Block. It's like, it's rude. I have seen all the Nightmare on Elm Streets. All right. I know. Okay. You haven't seen it? All right. So here's the deal. Well, if people keep telling me ignore them, but I've gotten 21 messages on Messenger telling me to shut up and talk about the Ritual from 21 different people. It's easier to say ignore them when you don't see the screens. But when I see the chat and that's all I see, or one person told me the cliff is not far from where they live, basically jump off the cliff. I've already gotten 3 death threats already, just since I've sat down. 3 death threats. So I've had to stop. That's why I'm a little scattered sometimes, because I have to screenshot and then report that to the police. So I've already gotten a couple of death threats just in today's show. So when you're sitting in this chair, then you know why I get a little irritated. Yeah. The Ritual. Here's what I really loved about the movie. I absolutely love the fact that they showed how possession affects everybody. It's not just the possessed. And what I loved about it is that it showed how every single person, from the clergy to the nuns to the possessed, was, amen, Mercedes, was affected by this terrible process. Now, here's a couple of things that I did not like, and I'll tell you why. No, it was with Al Pacino. It's a brand new one. Here's what I didn't like that made no sense to me whatsoever. So the bishop goes to the parish priest, and the bishop says, okay, here's the deal. We are going to bring this person who is possessed, and he gave all the files and all this other stuff. And, the priest says, well, obviously this is mental health. And he said, nope. The bishop said it's not. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this person here to the convent, and a priest, a Capuchin, is going to perform the exorcism, and you're to take notes and things of this nature. The priest was a little, he pushed back a little bit. First of all, that would have never happened. When the bishop says this is what's going to happen, you don't push back on it. You say, yes, your grace, because that's obedience. So number one, if the bishop says this is what we're doing, you don't say, well, but I don't think that's a good idea. The bishop didn't ask if you think that was a good idea. And then here's what's really problematic as well. So the mother, Reverend Mother, she was in charge of the convent. She was in charge of, the sisters, and that's fine. Then she starts, it was getting bad. I mean, there were some sisters that were getting hurt during an exorcism, during the rite. And I get it, the Reverend Mother was like, no, this has got to stop. This got to stop. Here's the issue. She had no authority to tell anybody that, okay, we're stopping this. This is not going to continue. And I'm going to and if it does, we're going to put some stipulations. She didn't have any authority to do this. Because again, she takes a vow of obedience to the bishop. She doesn't own the convent. And so if the bishop says this is what we're going to do, then first of all, the priest, the pastor of the parish, came to her and she was like, okay, this stops now. We're not doing this anymore. You can't do that to the pastor, because the pastor has the final say in the parish unless the bishop overrides. And so for the Reverend Mother to go and say and put, no, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. No, that would never have happened ever. It can't happen because nuns, whether people like it or not, they take a vow of obedience. And so the Reverend Mother would not have the authority to overturn the parish priest's decision to follow the bishop's directive about, the parish, about having this person going to the parish. And again, neither the parish priest or Reverend Mother could overturn the bishop's decision. And also, before an exorcism is performed, I didn't see this happen. And this was and I wish they would have done this. All individuals should receive the sacrament of reconciliation. That clearly did not happen, because the possessed, the demon, used what happened in the movie against them as like you'll have to watch the movie. They should have confessed this, and they didn't. So before an exorcism is performed, there's a term called a retrocognition. That's the ability to know your sins, not because they read your mind, because sins fall under what's called ordinary demonic activity. So everyone always has the sacrament of reconciliation before, participating and helping in any way, shape, or form of fashion of a sacrament of the rite. And a couple of times, it would be, there was a nun that was left alone with the possessed, even when the possessed is sleeping. That's unacceptable. That would not have happened. And it would not have happened, especially for any type of male priest to be there as well, because the demon could make accusations. But there were a couple times where there was a nun that was left in the room by herself when the possessed was allegedly sleeping. That could have been a ploy. And then that demonic could have easily have attacked that nun. Another thing that I did not find realistic at all, the person who was possessed escaped. And they ran into the catacombs. And then they separated when they began searching for her. They would have not have done that. They would have all stayed together because it's just too dangerous, especially for a person under the stage of possession. And I think also the restraints that they had was terrible. Absolutely terrible. I think, again, the movie did a great job showing what it's like from a psychological perspective in working cases and how everybody is affected, even the exorcist. And what I didn't also like or didn't believe is during the movie, the demonic was very powerful. I mean, even to the point of basically almost scalping someone. And then at the end, you had these small nuns restraining the possessed to the wall. That was not believable at all. It was just not believable. Because now all of a sudden, these nuns that were so fragile during, the rite, all of a sudden had the power to hold on to this possessed. I didn't believe it. It is based on a true story. And then another part at the very end, the parish priest suddenly found his faith. I don't know. And took off his necklace and started praying the St. Michael prayer. And the whole entire time, all the things that he saw, he was still doubting it. And then at the end, he pulled off this necklace and said the St. Michael prayer, and then she was delivered. It was a little, I think the ending was over the top. It was over the top. And they always do that. They always ruin movies by pushing them to like, okay, it's just too much. It's too much. So in my opinion, fantastic job on what it's like to be working a demonic case, a possession case, where everybody is affected. And you saw it. That they did a great job with that. That's why I think The Rite is a really great movie. And even The Pope's Exorcist. The Pope's Exorcist was amazing on showing you what demonic infestation feels like. Really great. I mean, it was just like, man, that is right on target. But then at the end, they got stupid. And they ruined the movie. Like The Pope's Exorcist, terrible. From the middle to the end was just it ruined it. It was just ridiculous. But from the beginning all the way to about the middle-ish part, I was like, this is a phenomenal movie. And then they ruined it. So, well, when you're restraining someone who is possessed, first of all, you can't restrain them unless you have permission, especially now because it's illegal. But at the same time, if you're going to restrain someone, the straps that you use needs to be incredibly, and well, I'm not going to go into details because then people say, oh, Bishop Long taught me how to do it. But they need to be so sturdy that you're not able to break. And there are straps that you can do this with. And sometimes you have to, because depending on the activity, it can be very, very violent. So, matter of fact, I did a presentation on Friday, yesterday, about the possessed, Roland Doe, and how he, during one of his exorcisms, he actually broke one of the springs from a mattress. I mean, snapped it in half and cut one of the exorcists with it. So you have to make sure that, obviously, if there's violence within the possession, sometimes you have to restrain, and you have to. So, okay, 1980s Exorcist. We've talked about the movie yesterday, and The Exorcist, the movie, is based on a true story, and it's a Roland Doe. It was a little boy, and it all started with the use of a Ouija board. His head didn't spin around, but the regurgitation happened. That actually is quite common. When you're doing an exorcism, when you're performing an exorcism, it's regurgitation does occur, primarily because the demonic is trying to cause the body to suffer. And because of that, dehydration, malnutrition is something that, especially dehydration, is a real concern when someone is undergoing possession. So you have to be careful. About that. But a lot of the things that you saw in the Exorcist, some of it is true. The screaming, the multiple pitches, absolutely. That's called throwing the voice happens. Regurgitation happens. There's a lot of things that a person can do under the stage of possession that they're not aware of because they have no control. It's the demonic. So, well, we actually, it's not just in the Christian faith. There are people of other faiths that actually have possession as well. And people say, well, no, it's just all nonsense. Okay, well, you're wrong. You're 100% incorrect. And you're speaking from what experience? None. Got it. Well, I speak from 25 years experience, in which I don't charge, never have, never will. Don't receive a stipend, don't receive a salary for being a bishop. I'm not here selling you anything. So you're not paying me for being here. I have no ulterior motive, none whatsoever. But I have seen things that you cannot refute. And I've witnessed things, and not only me, but 2,000 years of church history. Other exorcists have seen that clearly demonstrate that this is not mental illness. For example, retrocognition and prognostication. Now, again, for those of you who are trolling, you wouldn't know that word because you're armchair exorcist. Retrocognition is the ability to know your sins, not because they know they can read your mind, but because sins fall under what's called ordinary demonic activity. So that's why we have the sacrament of reconciliation prior to performing an exorcism. There's an introductory book in the paranormal that I wrote a long time ago, but I'm looking into writing a demonology book. And because I think more education needs to be presented, valid education instead of some nonsense. So, okay. Okay, let me just make this clear. Please understand that a child of 2 years old cannot be possessed. That doesn't exist. So people who say that children in the Roman Catholic Church, they explain that really at the age of reason, which is 12, the age of reason, that's why confirmation is usually at 12 years old. So because there has to be some culpability, usually an invitation that is given, whether it be playing with the Ouija boards or doing things you shouldn't do. But a 2-year-old child cannot be possessed. That just simply doesn't exist. It does not exist. Okay. Yeah. It's all fun and games until the priest shows up. So if you're needing help, then a lot of you guys are sending messages saying you want me to help, and that's fine. But you have to go to, you've heard they could, then you've heard incorrectly. You've heard incorrectly. A 2-year-old child cannot be possessed. Anybody who tells you otherwise is not trained, in this field. And again, the Roman Church has 2,000 years history of this. So I think they certainly would know more than any. And doesn't exist. I'm telling you now, a 2-year-old child cannot be possessed. So they cannot. Because they're not at the age of reason. And that's absurd. For anybody to think that they can, it's absurd. Now, can they be affected? Certainly. Possessed? No. No. All right. Yeah. See, there are some people that, here's the problem. Oh, thank you very much, Janet. There's a lot of people, we have mods. There's a lot of people who like to tell you things of demonology and possession, and then you just simply ask them, well, how many exorcisms have you performed? None. Have you received any training? No. So then why are you giving advice on a topic that you're not even trained in? And that's a problem, because a lot of people are giving advice as if they have studied this their entire lives, and they haven't. And that's a problem. That's a very serious problem. So, okay. So we'll get to some questions, as long as they're respectful. If they're not, I'll put sub chat on in a heartbeat, and I'll be done with it. As far as there are spheres that you're talking about, the first, second, third, or first level, second level spheres, or tiers, or levels of angels, demons as well. What about the movie Drag Me to Hell? Demon? No. No, that. Well, thank you very much, Starla. Thank you. I appreciate that. I saw the movie Drag Me to Hell. It was a terrible movie. Right, Waffles. Yeah. I mean, truthfully, it's kind of like, they want to talk about demonology and exorcism. Then they say, I understand. Look, I understand skepticism. I'm skeptical. If someone tells me they're possessed, I'm very skeptical. They tell me that, there was a TV flown across the room. I'm sure it was. Until I see it, I can't, it's kind of like, so I try to debunk everything. That is what I do. That's my goal. And it's only until after all the evidence is very clear that the only answer can be possession. But that is something that that's the last resort. And so that's something that I have to, we investigate, we determine, and we go from there. Okay. Right. Yeah, Waffles. Yeah. Okay. That is true. People do open doors that they know nothing about. Roxana, most of the time, most of the time, bad dreams are due to anxiety, and go from there. Yeah, Nikki, are orbs bad? Most orbs are dust or bugs, and orbs in the paranormal community are not taken seriously at all. Not taken seriously. So let me just make this very clear. Anybody who goes around and says, I can do this, you're a fraud. You're a fraud. Period. You're a fraud. Anybody who runs around and say, I can perform an exorcism and I can get rid of demons and I can do this. No, what you're doing is feeding your ego. That's what you're doing. And you're actually telling people, I'm a fraud. That's what you say. 100%. You do nothing. You are an instrument that God is using to deliver this person from a demonic attack. Anyone who goes around saying, well, I can do this, that person is doing is feeding their ego. And I don't get involved with the people like that. I can do all this and I can do this. No, you can't. Check your ego at the door. Because as an exorcist, I do nothing. I am an instrument that God is using. It is not through my power. It is me calling upon and invoking the name of Jesus Christ. So James Long on my own, I can do nothing. And anyone who says otherwise is a fraud. And they have no training whatsoever. They have no training. Zero. And they're just trying to feed your ego. That's all they're trying to do. So anybody who wants to take all the glory and I can do this and I can do this. No, you can't. The only thing you can do is feed your ego. That's all you can. That's all you. So anybody who says that you're absurd. And you need to be trained. And that's the problem. Again, if you need help, go to bishopjameslong.com. Click on the paranormal link. Click on the paranormal link and request assistance. And one of the members of the Society of St. Benedict will reach out to you, and we'll go from there. So that's it. Oh, that's great. Now, look. Now you can absolutely do that. Now, let me just make sure. Understand that. Let's say that you have activity in the home. Anybody, you can absolutely go there and pray 100%. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when someone is possessed and people are playing Exorcist on a Friday night, okay, you go ahead and do that. And then when that person has a heart attack or stroke and they pass away on you, and then you are charged with involuntary manslaughter, don't go boo-hoo, because you're not trained. You have no idea what you're doing. You're playing Exorcist on a Friday night. You have nobody there that's trained, who's medically trained, and you're playing Exorcist because you want attention to put it on social media. Okay, fine. But then don't go complaining and boo-hoo when you're then charged with involuntary manslaughter, because they should throw you in prison and lock the door behind you. Period. My favorite passage, Matthew chapter 7, verse 2. You'll be judged in the same manner you judge others. So, but hang on with your TikTok. What I'm going to do is for those of you who are listening to this on podcast, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys. What I'm going to do is probably just hang out on TikTok for a moment, for a little while, because it's just easier to do it that way. And let me just do this now. 1 second. We have this podcasted, by the way, so you guys can look this up if you want to. So bear with me while I upload this and then go from there. What could I call it? It's technically open mic night, but I'm not dodging any question, Frank. My life doesn't revolve around your questions. I know that might be surprising to you because I'm actually looking at this computer. Now, so let me explain it to you so that you can understand. When I'm looking at this computer and I'm trying to upload the podcast, I can't see your almighty question. So I know you expect everyone to stop and pay attention to you. But here we don't have we don't feed into narcissistic personality disorders. So I'm trying to upload a podcast. I'm already scared because of you? No, not at all. Goodbye, Frank. Troll. See what I mean? This is why we have to have sub chat on. It is toxic. It is toxic. Okay. For those of you who are listening on all the other social media platforms, so we're going to be here tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Bible study, and we will make sure that sub chat is on because we do not want disgusting people on. I'm telling you, there will be many people that will see God face to face, and he will say, I know you not. But for all the others who are normal human beings, who are not rude and disrespectful human beings, don't forget, tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Bible study. And we go from there. So hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to stick around a little bit with my friends there on TikTok. Until then, we'll see you guys.